lovelies, here we are. What a gorgeous day to be with you. Bienvenue. This is going to be an exciting conversation. I have been looking forward to this the entire festival. It is my great pleasure to introduce you to one of Canada's great treasures, Sophie Grégoire Trudeau. So let me tell you about Sophie. She is a celebrated mental health advocate. She has been recognized by the United Nations with multiple awards for her humanitarian work. She is a trailblazer, she is a cheerleader, she is an advocate for all things mental health. Sophie's book is called Closer Together, Knowing Ourselves, Loving Each Other. And it is a deeply personal journey toward self-knowledge, emotional honesty, and frankly, like a deeper sense of peace. She has been in public service on every global stage for more than a decade, navigating public life with incredible empathy and grace, including years alongside Canada's former Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. She is a champion for connection, the superiority of Canadian poutine, and without further ado, this is Sophie Grégoire Trudeau.
Oh my God.
I'm so excited you're here.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. So that was on script. Now we go off.
Well, we have this incredible setting, and one of Sophie's great gifts among many is the ability to land. And so I wondered if I might invite her.
Not yet.
to not yet.
After the banana.
You just take it away, my dear.
Okay. So first of all, you know, I've had the opportunity to be introduced on stage in the past 12 years in small rooms and huge auditoriums, whatever. The titles, the accolades, who I was married to, or what I did. So if I strip all that away, who's left? Who's Sophie right in front of you right now? And I hope that in the next 50 minutes with my friend, beautiful soul Kate, we will be able to, I would say, shake the cage, dive deep. So get ready, and I'm going to start with the banana. Who likes bananas? You just had lunch. Okay. So I don't really care. It has nothing to do with what we're going to talk about. But I have an extra one if anybody's hungry. So how much genetic makeup do you think you share with a banana? Lisa, you're not allowed to answer. Okay. How much genetic makeup do you think you share with a banana? Lift your hand. Just take a wild guess. Just have fun. Hi. Hi, Jackie. Huh? 96? Who else?
42.
Somebody whispered in your ear.
53.
40-ish. 40. So, all right, let's go on. What about a fruit fly? How much genetic makeup do you share with a fruit fly? For fun? 65. 20. The archaea bacteria, the oldest bacteria in the world, astrobiologist thinks it comes from another planet. 20%. Okay. Cow. 80. Dog. Do you like humans, sir? 96.5. And here we go. Chimpanzee. 98.5 and so on. Humans. Duh. 99.9999999. Hello, brothers and sisters. Oh, the stories we sense inside of our bodies and we create in our minds to create division and difference between us. It's a lot of BS. But it's a lot of not knowing how we form our personality and how to feel safe in our own bodies and to feel safe with each other. So what's the one thing you think you picked up on when I got on stage? What do you think you picked up on? Don't say hair or shoes or anything shiny. Take a guess. No, not the banana. About me. Jackie. Huh? My curls.
No, you're a girl.
Oh, that I'm a that I'm a girl. Okay.
Women power.
Women power. So energy. Yeah. What else? Confidence. Okay. Humans pick up on facial expressions in 100 milliseconds. You have a radar going on nonstop. Nonstop. if you don't even know it. Because your 200,000-year-old brain wants to get away from danger and seek comfort. So if I would have come here today, actually, you know what? Wait. You're going to turn to somebody that you don't know, and I'm going to count 30 seconds, and I want you to look at them in the eyes, okay? So 30 seconds, and find somebody you don't know. No talking, no talking. No talking, just looking. Just looking. And for those who just came in, oh, I see you, Melanie. So you two have to look into each other's eyes for 30 seconds. Hi. Hi, Alex. Seconds left. We're almost.
You're doing great.
You're doing great. Another 12 seconds. Just relax and gaze. And we're done. So I'm going to ask, you made new friends now. So I'm going to ask 4 people in the room what came up. Just how do you feel now? Like just what came up. Don't think too much, just sense. So 4 hands, let's go. What came up? Go ahead.
My eyes started to hurt.
Very cute. Anybody else?
It seemed like a very long time.
It seemed like a long time, okay? Sir?
It was very generous.
It was very generous. Maybe 2 more?
I think our breathing synced up.
The breath synced up, so nervous system to nervous system. Tina?
It felt very intimate.
It felt intimate. So if you were in your, so we have our autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic branch, your fight, flight, freeze, and your parasympathetic, rest and digest. And during one day, you go from one branch to the other, and that's quite normal. So here's the thing. If, the stress in our daily lives and how we live and what we eat and how we sleep and what we consume, if you came here today and you were in your fight, flight, freeze, or something happened and you were really stressed, if I came on stage today with a very neutral face, it's hard for me to do. Wait. You could interpret this as threatening. As threatening. So think about what's happening at a larger scale and the movements of polarization and division and the other scaring us. When I wrote my book, Closer Together, I interviewed one of the greatest psychologists. She's like in her 80s now, and she said, Sophie, the most unhappy human beings I've ever met in my life are the ones who cannot trust in others.
Yeah.
So, and I have chills saying this because as somebody who's walked on the co-political path, and I've met people from across the world, you can see clearly when somebody is threatened by somebody else's presence. And you can see it in facial expressions. Who did I just imitate? We're not naming names. No, I said nothing. I said nothing. So emotional safety and how we receive others has to do with how well we know ourselves. And self-knowledge is a human right. We don't talk about this enough. I mean, we've got incredible psychologists and professors in the room, and it's unbelievable how if we had more education on how to understand why we act and react the way we do, we'd have a different kind of community, society, and world. So we're still off script.
Yes.
Should we go back?
No,
Okay.
never. Because when did you realize that practicing presence in this way was a revolutionary act?
Well, self-love is a revolutionary act because we live in a society that rewards us for self-betrayal. Yeah. Change your face, change your body, change your hair, change your nails, change your genitals, change your performance levels, change your leadership, change everything.
Yeah.
That's really draining. No wonder we're depleted. And when we're always stuck in that fight, flight, freeze, trying to perform, at some point, the body's giving us all the signals. We're pathologizing so many conditions. They're not really diseases. Our bodies are doing exactly what they're supposed to do in abnormal environments. This is not to say that some, clear mental health issues shouldn't be in the DMS or, categorized so that we can better understand the data and how to intervene. But I think for me it was a revelation in my own practice. So I suffered from eating disorders when I was young. And my anxiety, I grew up in a loving family, but both of my parents came from a generation where trauma was not looked at. And so I internalized their own traumas, as many children do. And I wanted to save my mother. We've talked about this earlier on. I wanted to save my mom from my dad and save my dad from himself. And that's not a cape that a child should wear. So the one thing that was really a revelation, I mean, I'm an only child, so I was raised saying, hello, my name is Sophie, do you want to play? I'm 50 and I'm still that way. Yeah. So that hasn't changed. But to be honest, that playfulness has kept me really well on my healing path, although it's been ups and downs, just as anybody's life. But I'm going to ask you a question, and everybody at the same time, so we can go deeper into this question. So trauma is not just something bad that might have happened to you in your life, and I'm sorry if it did, because it happens to a lot of people. But it's also something that you needed: nourishment, emotional safety, physical safety, that didn't take place. And you're like, oh, whatever, my family was crazy, but it's fine. Until an addict looked at me and said, you come from a very dysfunctional family. I'm like, what? F you. What are you talking about? Until I dig more. So trauma is not just something bad that happened to you. It's also something that you needed that didn't take place. Who has had a trauma in their lives? Raise your hand. Okay, raise your hand again. Keep it up. Everybody turn around and just look quickly. Just look quickly. Okay, now put your hand down. So it's more than the majority. Yeah, almost. Now, raise your hand if you talk to somebody about what happened when it happened. Turn around and look at the room. So 20 years of mental health advocacy, 20 years of the same answer. And now we know that the body keeps the score. So if we don't start telling our stories, I have chills every time. If we don't start telling our stories and understanding that the difference between human suffering and trauma is constriction. So suffering is part of life. We're human beings. Human emotions are not dangerous. They're intense, but they're not dangerous. Panic is dangerous. Lack of connection to our own emotions and bodies can be dangerous. Isolation from others can be dangerous. And when we talk about, and last evening there was a panel with Lisa Damour and other experts on, anxious girls and lonely boys. And yet, of course, social media is a culprit because it isolates us from one another, and we're creatures of connection. But we need to talk about the fact that parental distress, us as parents, we have to look at our traumas and what we carry so we don't leave it as a legacy to our children. Us as human beings, we all need the safety. We need validation. We need adventure for growth and change. We need a sense of belonging and love for connection. Thank you. And we need a sense of being able to give back. But of all of those, if safety is not there, it's game over. So think of the communities that you live in, the households, the schools, and look at the emotional and physical safety environment. Because your brain is still in its primal programming, right? I'm seeking comfort and I'm getting away from danger. And when you come back home after a hard day's work and you want your beer or your glass of wine and your Netflix series, like your body is not programmed to be happy and to be disciplined. This is the work that we have to do. And self-knowledge takes discipline. So it shouldn't be a luxury for people to look within them. It should be a right.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Man, because I wanted to ask you about that bit you said at the end about the glass of wine, the Netflix show. Like, in what ways do our coping strategies not always serve us in the way that we imagine that they will?
I think we're partly obsessed with happiness. So from a hormonal perspective, happiness is more dopamine driven. I want more. And now we live in a dopamine nation. Great book by Anna Lemke on how, it's kind of like a seesaw. If your dopamine levels are high, it's tough to find the serotonin and oxytocin and relaxing hormones fun. And now teenagers are in a pickle because they find them boring. So what's the question?
Well, I just remember when you said,
perimenopause, sorry.
that the way that we seek refuge, but it's
Yes.
not always what we imagine.
So the refuge, yes.
Yeah.
So happiness, more dopamine driven. Contempt, a little bit more relaxing. I don't need more of, I'm content, I'm happy to be here right now. So we all have a refuge. I'm gonna ask you this. Think of a behavior or a habit that you have that in the short term, it provides you relief, right? I think we talked about that in the plane. It provides you relief, but in the long term, it's not really good for you or for people around you. So raise your hand if you think you can answer this question. You can think of something in your life. So a little habit that gives you temporary relief, and in the long term, not so good for you. Doesn't have to be heroin. Okay. So that's the definition of an addiction. We're all one trauma away from each other. We have to stop judging each other for why we suffer, how we suffer. We're all one trauma. It takes one dramatic life event, or too quick, too fast, too long, and not enough of, for your brain to not have the right connections, and you feel isolated, or you feel alone in your own suffering, and you're never alone. We're always one trauma away from each other, and there are always allies on the path. So I think that the refuge, the addiction is a little bit of the refuge because it validates our pain.
Yes.
So some people go into high intensity, running marathons, never stopping, right? Go, 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 go. Some people go into lust and desire and go from one relationship to the other, right? And keep it on the surface level. Some people go for food. That was my drug of numbness with eating disorders. Any type of compulsion is an attempt to love and be loved, and so is personality. And this is not excusing criminal behavior, okay? But still, when I wrote the book, I interviewed a dehumanization expert called David Livingstone Smith, who said, Sophie, hate stems from a deep need for connection that never took place. So think about everything that's going on in the planet from one end of the spectrum to the other. And it will tell you that, we think we are our personality. We all have a refuge because we want to feel seen in our pain.
Yes.
And that's fine. But remember that the difference between pain, suffering, and trauma is constriction. Do you like poetry? So Rainier Maria Rilke wrote, I want to unfold. Let there be no space inside of me hold itself closed, for where I am closed, I am false.
Yes.
Where I am closed, I am false. So that constriction and the parts that we hold in and that calcifies in a way, right? Like that metastasizes even, right? Even from a disease perspective. It's incredible how our refuge can serve us for quite a while during childhood because we hide in there to feel safe. But then as adults, our responsibility is to say, okay, I know all these parts in me now, right? Internal family systems. Now I know that I have the maturity to tell the child in me, because by the way, all of your 4-year-old children are active within you every day in all of your relationships. And I hope that we get to talk about the childhood bond of attachment.
Yes.
But all this to say that everything stems from an attempt to love and be loved.
Yes. Yes. Man, because I often feel sometimes like I am plugged matrix style into the parasympathetic nervous system of the universe, and I can't unplug.
Sympathetic.
Sympathetic.
Like fight, flight, freeze.
Well, I feel like it's empathy. I feel like I'm
Oh.
doing something.
Oh.
It feels like it's just a part of the best parts of my personality. But I can tell from your description that it also feels like it's directly tied to some of my earliest wiring.
Well, if you were ignored or pushed away, your parents were super busy, your siblings weren't super nice to you, yeah, it could be that you're looking to feel seen and validated, and what better way to make other people happy than to grab their attention, right? So we all have that place of refuge where we move from and we develop our personality. So does anybody know what epistemic trust is? Lisa, again, you're not allowed to answer. Epistemic trust. So this is fascinating. When I wrote the book, the things I learned, I was like, how come we don't teach this in like primary school? And we don't have to use the scientific language, but here we go. So epistemic trust is the first bond of trust that you will develop with another human being, which usually is your caregiver. So the amount of time, and this happens, by the way, so your left brain is more the cognitive, function, mathematical brain. Your right brain is more emotional, well, creative, connection. So it's a dance from right brain to right brain. And the amount of time somebody looked at you as a baby, how they held you, how long they held you for. And when you were in distress, this is just one example. Let's say you were crying and your mom had 2 other babies in the back, or, you know, was busy with daddy or with work. You're all good. Okay, all right, we go back to play now. Puts you in the pen, whatever. I've kind of done that, so I feel guilty right now. And so all this to say that that first bond of trust creates kind of like a tone, like in your hard disk, like your whole nervous system, there's a programming from childhood. And this is pre-verbal years. You're not talking yet. That creates a symphony, kind of like a music inside of your brain, inside of your nervous system. So if you were always taught that when you're in distress, halfway is like, all right, go play, snap out of it. This is just one example, but it's kind of was mine a little bit. Then when you're in a relationship later, and you're in your 20s or you're 16 or you're 30, and you need to be repaired because there was a rupture in the relationship, right? We have ruptures all the time. It happens all the time. And it's fine as long as you repair them. So maybe because of your wiring, you won't feel that you need to be comforted until your nervous system actually calms down fully. That doesn't feel like home to you. So we judge very quickly when women stay in abusive relationships, because usually hurt people hurt people. Finally, we are part of a generation that are breaking the cycles of trauma and addiction and abuse. But if the way you were raised from very early years on did not create a constant quality care and a sense of security and a sense of validation that what you were feeling represented reality. There is an integrity, a coherence. You will develop bonds of attachment in your later relationships. Usually there are 3 categories: secure, insecure, disorganized. Disorganized are usually kept for cases of abuse and neglect, and just saying that makes me feel like, as a mother, like, how can that happen? But it's still happening at a large scale. So when parents aren't regulated and they don't know about their own bond of attachment and why their nervous system reacts or is triggered easily or maybe not easily, good for you, your window of tolerance as you grow into this life, so how much you can take in during a day, interactions, smiles, cries, stressors, everything. Just name any kind of exposome. Apparently that's the new buzzword by Dr. Mark Hyman, that every kind of experience you're exposed to in a lifetime. It really kind of like tests you all the time, right? How much can you take in? So it's fascinating to see with all the topics that are being discussed here about brain health, about, you know, research, about play, about music. Everything that's being discussed here is part of the wheel of well-being. Because every time we talk about mental health, it's not just about the absence of mental illness. It's about the fabric of our lives. How do you treat yourself when no one's watching? Like, think about it for real.
Yeah.
Like, how do you treat yourself when no one's watching? What's the conversation?
Yeah.
Is it tender? Is it compassionate and patient, like the best lover ever? Or is it tough?
Yeah.
I always, as a child, remember when I went into therapy for my eating disorders, I felt like I always had this little hook, like never good enough, like in the back of the neck, never good enough. And at some point, I visualized the hook and turned it into a really feathery, fun, soft one. And as I kept visualizing that every time I felt triggered, why do I feel like I'm being abandoned now? Yeah. Because that's my 4-year-old self when my dad was had an addiction, and he loved me, but he loved me for like a couple of hours and then he was gone. Yeah. So when I'm in a relationship, when that happens, I feel triggered. So you might think about what gets you triggered in this life by other people and how you can widen your window of tolerance by using all the tools of the wheel, from nutrition to exercise to movement to talking to sharing our stories to human connection to sense of purpose. Yeah. And the more we will widen our windows of tolerance, hopefully, and from a neurobiological perspective, we will keep our democracies healthier. We will. We will, because it's a neurobiological imperative.
Knowing what you know about that safe, healthy nourishing attachment. And you're a mother of 3. I wonder what your kids have taught you about the kind of love that heals you.
Wow. In my book, I share a quote. My son he's 17 now, but he was 14 then. And I asked him, what do you think the rhythm of love is? He was like, what? And I said, what do you think the rhythm of love is? What do you think he answered? Because we've got cool young ones here. What do you think he answered? Just for fun. There's no right answer. What do you think the rhythm of love is? Jazz? Nice. So it's slow. Here we go. When you want to soothe a 4-year-old who's in panic, do you speak fast or slow? You don't go, oh my God, it's going to be okay, don't worry, mommy's right here, right? It's going to be okay. Hand on shoulder, eye-to-eye contact, it's going to be okay. Like when somebody tells me that, like I could cry right now, it's going to be okay. We slow down, we become more present in the moment. We are not somewhere other than here. So stress, and this is Master Eckhart Tolle, stress is a dysfunctional relationship with the present moment. So I'm going to ask you this question, and I contemplate this often. If stress is a dysfunctional relationship with the present moment, and love is slow, can we love when we're stressed? Not really. Not really. We're loving on a high octave surface, but no. Because there is no other way than holding, staying. I'm not leaving. I'm going to be right here. And you can tell me all your, and I'm still going to stay. So it's fascinating, I think, what kids teach you as a mother. So I have a 11, 16, and 17-year-old. I mean, I think what they teach me most is to love myself.
Yes.
As the assignment. Because when I don't love myself, I see their reaction. And you can talk to all of your kids. And I see you with your son, Melanie, like, right? Right, kids? We can talk and tell you 1,000 things. But in the end, you pick up on how we act, how we treat ourselves, how we treat other people. Language is important. It's very symbolic. And words carry a lot of energetic load. But our actions carry so much more. So I think my kids have taught me that being present, and my son told me once, I'm not like you. I was like, ugh, right? I don't have to be like you. I'm like, well, what about our human values? They have to be the same. It's not a competition. And I feel sometimes that as parents, we take our role of parenting a lot as a role more than a relationship. It's a relationship. So as in any other relationship, if we're not present and if we're not anchored and working on our own body-mind connection and soul, then they carry that load with them. And they have enough troubles in this world. We don't need to leave that as a legacy. So I think it's a continuous learning curve to be a mother, right? Who's a parent in the room? Like, it's never ending. The lessons are just, they're limitless, and they're also filled with teachings.
Yeah.
And they drive us crazy too. Not all the time.
You have this whole section in your book about the significance of movement. And I think I remember like the early Canadian ads in the 80s that were like the get fit and have fun.
Oh my God, yes, yep.
Ads, in which I was like, I should get fit. I should have fun. But there is something about, you know, the 80s invented running. It's amazing. They totally did it.
You have no idea how fun she is, by the way. Yeah.
But you love to move. You move fast. You love speed. You love like just bodies in motion. And there's amazing science around that. And I have to admit that after reading your book, I started to think about my evening walks a little bit differently, because I find that I'm just somebody who really wants the day to feel both full but then meaningful. But then there's just this kind of aftertaste at the end where it's never quite enough. the checklist is never over. There's just that lingering. But in the walk, I started to think about some of the lessons that you were teaching, and I felt a little cleared. And I wonder if you could share.
You know, movement. So first of all, we're not creatures of sedentarism. We're supposed to move our bodies. We're not supposed to sit on chairs in front of computers. We all know this. So when the body moves and plays, and let's talk about play because I have a whole chapter in the book on this. It's fascinating. So very quickly during this war in Ukraine, Dr. Gordon Neufeld, who is a great child psychologist and works with teenagers as well, he's in my book as well. He was called, and the teachers were completely overwhelmed, saying, what do we do with the little ones? We don't know what to do. They're in complete distress. So he said, you take the curriculum, you throw it out the window, and you let the children play without structure. Let them play. Because when a human being plays, like think of a mammal who stops playing. Usually it's because they're sick. When we're sick, we stop playing. Yeah. So the brain gets a signal of safety when we play. And especially when we I don't know, hide and seek, tickle each other, just nothing that's super planned, something that's just really naturally playful, right? And you see this with cubs and lionesses, and I think I'm a lioness with my kids. So this unstructured play, it really keeps us healthy. And now that we know that the body keeps a score and that all those constrictions coming from trauma are metastasizing in the body, and I'm really choosing these words, and I don't want to create any confusion with cancer and serious diseases, but the calcification, the coming together, and the constriction, movement allows us to let go of that emotionally and physically. So I mean, the science is now showing us that the benefits, especially exercising outdoors and doing it in a group of people, with a group of people that you like, really brings it to another exponential level. So it doesn't have to be a marathon. It doesn't have to be difficult. I think that we are already guilty of thinking, well, I'm not good enough anyway. I can't do yoga. I can't touch my toes. That's not yoga. Or I can't, everybody can go around the block. Or take the stairs. If you have mobility issues, that's I understand, that's different. But you can do yoga on a chair. You can do breathing exercises. And now I see somebody yawning, so we're going to go into breathing exercises. It's okay, it's fine. So can we talk about the vagus nerve and movement?
I will insist on it.
Because we have 7 minutes left, and I really want you to try this. And just to stop thinking, let go of anything that we've talked about before. And just start sensing your body, like how your body is placed on the chair. The vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve in the body. It starts at the brain stem, and it innervates so many parts of your body. The face here, the throat, the thoracic cage, all around the organs. And vagus means wandering. It's like a wandering nerve. And it has so much communication with so much bodily functions. Salivation, pupil dilation, heart rate, digestion. It's unbelievable how much of your vagus nerve is responsible for so much of how your body acts and reacts, during a day. And most people, I didn't know what the vagus nerve was 5 years ago. And then I learned about polyvagal theory, and oh my God, revelations come up. So anyway, we can stimulate the vagus nerve. It has a ventral portion, which is usually above the diaphragm, and a dorsal portion, which is below the diaphragm, and more related to the parasympathetic rest and digest. So what we're going to do together now is we're going to stimulate the vagus nerve and send our brain cues of safety. So we're going to, if you can, just stand up. If you can, if you don't, you can. If you can't, you just stay in the chair. And so I teach this. Don't worry, you're in good hands. You're in safe hands. I'm also a yoga and meditation teacher. And the impact that this has had on my nervous system are incredible. So I hope that you get to continue maybe on your own practice. You can go to my website. I'll give you that later. But for now, let's stick to practice. So we're going to look silly together because we're playful. And we're going to start just shaking the hands. Just shake the hands. We did this in our yoga practice with River yesterday. I think just shake everything off. So when a dog has a stress, remember they go whoa, 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 after. So shake it, shake it, shake it. Shake it, shake it. And the feet, add the feet. And now inhale and exhale through the mouth. Inhale nose, exhale mouth. I want to hear you. Louder. Okay, stop everything, close your eyes and sense the energy, the prana, the chi, everything, trillions of cells moving in your body, aliveness. And now open the eyes and raise the shoulders when you inhale through the nose to the ears. Nice. Inhale. Relax your face and your jaw. 5 more times. 2 more, make it count. 1 last. And now you're going to put your hands on your hips and we're going to roll the hips. So just roll the hips. You can keep your eyes closed or just a soft gaze. But even while doing this, see if you have tensions in your forehead, let them go. Jaw, let it go. And change sides, direction. And now you're just going to move forward a little bit with your upper body and bend the knees a little bit. And we're going to go, and you can leave the hands loose, and you're just going to go, mwah. Stop, no pictures. Mwah. Yeah, you can kiss too. Mwah. 3 more times. Mwah. Nice. Mwah. Again. Mwah. Okay, let that go, let it go, shake it off. Now take your index and middle finger and put it on both sides of your ears and start rubbing, just a little bit. Doesn't have to be too hard. Relax the jaw, no tension. Tongue relaxed in the mouth. Space in the jaw and space between your eyebrows. And just massage just a little bit. And now stop, take the index finger, put them in the inside of your ear and pull down on the ears. And relax here. And see, are you judging what you're doing? Are you thinking? Let go of thoughts and drop from the brain in your head into the brain in your heart and in your body. And just sense. And massage your ears and your lobe a little bit. Just massage. And slowly, slowly sit back down. And here we're just going to hum for 30 seconds together like a bee sound, just like this. Don't do anything. I'm inhaling through my nose. So we're going to do this for 30 seconds nonstop. You don't have to follow me. Just do it at your own rhythm. Continue exactly what you're doing. Cup your hands and place them on your ears and continue humming. And stop. And don't think, just sense. Inhale your right arm up to the sky. Exhale, place it on the left side of your head and tilt the head towards the right. Feel the stretch in the left hand side of your neck. Tuck the chin in just a little bit. Relax your jaw. And now, if your eyes are closed, you're going to open them, leaving the head exactly where it is. And you're going to look to the opposite corner with both eyes to where your head is leaning to. Both eyes looking to the opposite corner of where your head is leaning to. Mona Lisa smile, super soft face. No tension in the jaw. You might feel more salivation in the mouth or a natural yawn, a sigh, a release. Complete safety in the body right now. Inhale and help your head come back up. And roll anything, if there's kinks in the neck, anything at all. Inhale, left arm up to the sky. Go to the right hand side of the head, pull to the left shoulder, tuck the chin in, relax jaw, relax forehead. Open eyes if they're closed, look opposite side of where your head is leaning to. You don't have to overstretch the eyes, but find a point, a drishti, a point of concentration somewhere in the opposite corner. No thinking. Sensing. And come back up, inhaling. And roll anything that needs to be rolled. And 3 more breaths like we did at the beginning. Inhaling through the nose and out the mouth. Again. Let it go. And maybe keep the eyes closed for 5 seconds and just see. Compare with maybe with how you felt before coming into the room. If there's a big difference, good. If there's a tiny difference, good. Doesn't matter. And open the eyes if they were closed. And we're more ready to receive what's coming next because I will, with Kate, ask you to share or ask me questions. And don't be afraid. We're here to go deeper. So I'm here for you. And so is Kate.
Wow.
So
That's beautiful.
So let's go for it. We have a microphone, and let's try to keep the energy like where it is now. I'm going to try to behave and not be too mischievous, so we keep the calm. There we have a question in the back.
Hello. Let's see here. You mentioned, I think it was about 5 different ways, without getting into specifics, about how we can expand our window of tolerance so that we don't experience, unnecessary triggers or to be just triggered less. Do you happen to, can you expand on that a little bit? I know there's only so much time, but...
Is this Todd? Is your name Todd?
Yes, it is.
Okay. We're supposed to talk later.
I know. I was like, well, maybe I'll get my question in now. But anyway, yes.
Yeah, we can talk about that later. But it's,
Okay.
I didn't talk about 5 pillars to widen your window of tolerance. But there are pillars of health and mental health, right? That allow you to expand your window of tolerance. And the pillars of health from a physical health perspective are balance, flexibility, endurance, and balance, flexibility, endurance. I'm missing one. I'm blanking. Lisa, you're allowed to answer. Strength. Thank you. Strength. So from a physical perspective. From a psychological perspective, have you heard of hormesis? So there's a great book written by my friend Jeff Krasno called Good Stress, but you'll find all of it in my book, Closer Together, which is on sale and by the way, I'm doing a book signing at 5:15, so I hope to see you there. So to widen our window of tolerance, from a psychological perspective, it goes back to our most basic needs. So when we intervene in childhood, especially from 6 to 10, which is a very experiential time for the brain, learning so much, right? When we panic, because as parents, we're not regulated. Oh my God, my child fell off, his or her or their bike. What's going to happen? They hurt themselves. Oh my God, are you okay? Oh my God. Chill. Like, they fall off the tree, off the branch, get back up, scorched knee, right? Mm-hmm. It's okay. You do need the reassurance until the nervous system calms down. But after that, it's let's go back on that horse. So when we take away this experience of risk at low risk, low cost of childhood. That's the luxury of childhood. Mm-hmm. When we get into adulthood, it's high risk, high cost. Mm-hmm. So if the brain and the body didn't learn through experience, exposure, good stress, hot, cold, movement, playfulness, good nutrition, good sleep, good connections, yes, of course. Then in adulthood, when obstacles come, failing comes, rejection comes, the body didn't learn how to build that resilience, nor did the brain psychologically. So what do we do? So there are many ways. Hormesis means to be able to expose the body and the mind, actually, to good stress. And good stressors are ways to expand our window of tolerance so we actually know what we're made of. And, as I said, good nutrition, hot, cold exposure, Our ancestors were exposed to much more good stressors and also bad stressors that we are. And because we live in a society of chronic ease, we do create dis-ease and inflammation in the body. So we have to push ourselves. And remember, your brain's like, give me that beer in that Netflix series, right? Laurie Santos from the Happiness Lab, we're not made to be happy. We're made to work to be happy. And it takes discipline and hard work. And discipline is freedom. So if we want to be able to widen our window of tolerance and connection with each other, we have to try new things. We have to expose ourselves to difficult conversations. We have to not be threatened by the difference of others. But if we don't feel safe in our bodies, we will be threatened by the difference of others. Think about this in your own communities. Think about discrimination, bullying, racism, ingrained in cultures because of the threat that the other represents to us as a human being. So Tal, we can continue that conversation, but I hope that gave you some perfect. You're all so calm now. It worked. Yes. There we have in the front right here.
I have a question about raising children in today's times. When I was growing up, I had consequences. And it wasn't terrible, I just learned. Today I see the younger parents treat their children with more psychology. Don't do that, it's not nice. They just don't seem to have the discipline or the consequences that I was growing up with. And I find that not the best way to raise children. What is your feeling on that?
Can you allow me to be curious about how you were raised? Can I ask you questions? Would you allow me?
Yeah, my pleasure.
Okay, so
I was raised...
What type of consequences did you get as a child?
Punishment.
Like what?
Oh, you're really going back into my brain.
Well, I mean, we're here to share, so yeah, you're safe.
I really don't remember. I remember if I said something or did something, my mother would yell at me, and then I would run away from her, and she would say to me, "Go, ostrich, go in your room." You know, and I went. I grew up in a very functional family. I mean, it was love not only by my mother, my father, and my brother, but by my aunts, my uncles, my cousins.
Do you have grandchildren?
I do.
And is that how you work with them? Do you punish them?
No.
Why?
I don't think it's my place. What I do tell them is, I'm not having fun. If you continue to do this, I won't take all of you together. It's not fun for me. And that's what I do. And that seems to work. But to punish them, I don't think that's my responsibility.
I have chills because, first of all, thank you for sharing, and thank you for feeling safe for sharing. Nobody's here to judge anybody. You're answering your own question. Grandparents, and this I talk about actually in the book with Dr. Gordon Neufeld. Grandparents have this very, very, if you have a relationship with your grandchildren, there's an opportunity for an incredible bond of trust. Because there are less demands on the child, right? Because as parents, make up your room, do this, do that. And it's more of a relationship of, I'm not going to ask so much of you, but I'm going to tell you if something's off. So what you just answered, when you said, I tell them, hey, I'm not having fun anymore. I think that's the best thing a parent could say. Hey, this is not fun anymore. You crossed a boundary. This makes me feel uneasy. I don't like it, right? So setting boundaries is one of the most healthiest things you can do with yourself and in a relationship. So I think that you are wiser than you think, ma'am. I don't know what your name is. What is your name?
Linda.
I think, Linda, that your answer is in your question because you didn't repeat the cycle of punishment. And by the way, I mean, Pavlov, there's incentive and rewards that, yes, work, I mean, all those hikes I went on with candies to bribe my kids. But on a serious level here, punishment is a form of negative, right, feedback. And I'm not sure has anybody ever received punishment? So anybody received physical punishment? Raise your hand if you think that worked for you. Okay? And raise your hand if you would repeat that with your own children. Okay? And that's fine. That's fine. Everybody has different methods. Ask your children how they feel about it. Mm-hmm. That's what I would say the most. Because we're creatures of connection. And punishment can send a lesson, but it doesn't build a bond of trust. And in the end, that's what we're here to do, to build a bond of trust.
I think we have all felt the superpower that is Sophie's ability to create connection and empathy among strangers, now friends. I wonder
Never
if we could
strangers.
welcome her into having to leave right now. And it's been so lovely having you here. Guys, our time is at an end. You are such a joy.
I'm not afraid to
for
say,
doing this.
I love you, fellow humans.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Should we say, and we can meet tonight, 5:15 in the bookstore.
Yes.
I'll be signing books. We can talk, take pictures, whatever you want. All right? Be well on your path. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.